Okay, call the meeting to order, 7:04.
You didn't vote yet.
It's on though.
He's looking.
Okay.
Okay, so we have present Tammy Spencer, Health Director, Sue Braska,
Gene Nelson.
Jessica Kelly.
our guest is Tom Fitzgerald. McKinsey's online. We have Doug, Moglen, and Peter. Any comment that? No, in fact, we're gonna do we'll do the minutes first.
We have to announce the date and time. Did
Okay.
you do
No, I
that?
didn't need a date and time.
Okay.
It's October 21st, and I said it was 7:03 or 7:04.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do the minutes first. McKinsey, do you have a copy of the minutes? Did you get a copy?
No, I actually didn't get a copy of anything. Were they emailed?
No, just, do you want me to go email?
Mackenzie, it might help if you let us know whether you're going to do Zoom or in person, so Jessica can make sure that she sends the minutes by email.
Okay.
Is the volume up?
Because, yeah, you
Do you
didn't
want me
know.
to? It's probably gonna take forever for that computer to boot up.
Right. No, there's 2 voting members here.
Tom, would you be available to meet is it the bi-monthly? Is that bi-monthly means twice a month, or is it every 2 months?
Right.
Bi-monthly?
Yeah.
What does it mean every 2 months?
Well, yeah. It's bi-monthly, meaning twice.
Bi-monthly.
Okay. A few days, I'm not sure. I said days, or if I did, I didn't mean days. Tom, I'm wondering if you would, be available soon. If you're working 24 hours a week, maybe a couple weeks at 24 hours to work with Tammy, depending on what you would feel comfortable with. Because there's been a lot of changes. So Tammy, so actually that would have to start essentially next week.
We still gotta vote.
Yeah.
We still gotta vote the town.
You mean work at the same time? It's gonna be 24 hours? You think that's necessary?
I don't know.
Okay, I think,
That's,
Probably not necessary. I mean, I don't think if we want to wait until we talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. well, we
Okay.
didn't get there.
I was just trying to correct the minutes.
So we can wait on that then.
Okay. Okay, you made corrections to the minutes of October 7th, Sue,
I didn't know anything.
please.
Yeah, I didn't know anything.
No, I didn't. I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes of October 7th.
I second the motion. I know, Mackenzie, you don't have them in front of you.
Yeah, so should I just abstain from the vote?
You can do that.
Yeah, or just, yeah. Okay, so all in favor?
Um,
Sue, yes.
Jean, yes. And then we'll, for now, hold the minutes of October 14th until we can discuss
Okay.
the position, okay?
So any public comment, Peter, Doug? That we're not talking about today?
No, I'll wait until after the meeting.
Okay. Doug?
No, thank you.
No, okay. Okay, so we'll go right into Tammy.
Alright, so for protests, soil evaluation, witnessing, repairs at 4 North Boneyard and 64 Buckingham. New ones at lot 8 Silvergrass, lot 9 Silvergrass, and lot 11, where there was that excavation of 11 Silvergrass. Final inspections for septic systems, 1 repair at 62 Davis Road and 1 new at 2 Noble C. Septic plans approved for repair systems.
Mackenzie, can you hear Tammy?
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
Repairs at 274 South Lanyard and 15 Patriots Way, and new systems at lot 5 Mort Vining and lot 11 Mort Vining, and 1 at 115 Fred Jackson. Food service inspections, a lot of mobile the last 2 weeks, Crazy Arepas, Local Burger, Comerford Concessions, the Devil Leg. And then I also inspected Powder Mill School, Woodland School, and Southwick Regional School.
So the mobile food units, the ones having to do with the
Some, yes. There was also a fall festival the same day. There's 2 fall festivals. There was one at the Brass Rail and one at Westville River.
Oh, Westville River. There was no food concessions at the church at there.
Not that I knew about.
I didn't go there, so.
I didn't see it. Weekly meetings, the weekly public health emergency conference call. We had a school safety committee meeting, which is kind of good to sort of hash out all the things that have been going on this year so far. And then there was a non-pharmaceutical interventions training module meeting. And then Monday was our food clinic. And exactly 100 shots were given out. She used the last needle. Shut up for the day. It was awesome.
Good.
It was really good. Well, and it was, especially after having to cancel it at the last minute. And they had the stock and everything. That was great. So this week we are still in the red, but really the red is more reflective of what happened 2 weeks ago, the numbers, and not over the last 10 or so days. While it says that we've had 30 cases in the last 2 weeks, if you look back to how many people right now are in isolation, there's only 16 people in isolation. So that's lower than it's been for several weeks on a Thursday. Of those 16, 10 of them have had the vaccine. So that's fantastic, just to see how that's, we're seeing that in the reporting.
No, that's depressing.
Well, no,
10 out of the 16
but that
are positive and they've had the vaccine.
but they're going to have a good outcome. That's the positive part about it. And of those 16, only 2 of them were under the age of 18, and everybody seems to really be around like 30s to 50s. Not many I saw in the last 10 days that were over the age of 60. Mostly that 30 to 50s. I think the average was 43. And our vaccine rate's still at 43%.
50.
50, 43, where did I get that? 54%. So this week, the FDA's Vaccine Advisory Board had their meeting. First, they talked about the Moderna booster dose, and it was a unanimous vote to recommend authorization for the booster dose. For the same populations that the Pfizer booster dose was for. So at least 6 months after the second dose, 65 years and up, and adults who are at high risk of where they work or live. Then the same, similar for Johnson & Johnson, was unanimous vote to recommend the booster dose for anyone 18 and older who had a primary dose of Johnson & Johnson at least 2 months ago. And they did discuss mix and match boosters. So if you had Pfizer, getting Moderna, and otherwise, but they, while they discussed it, there was no vote and not clear if a mix and match approach will be recommended. The next steps for that is the FDA adopts or rejects its committee's recommendation, which I believe was last night, but I didn't see anything. Nothing came in our emails today. And then they'll adjust the EUAs accordingly. And then today,
What's EUA stand for?
the emergency use authorization. And then the final steps will be for the CDC director to review the recommendations and determine if they should become official CDC recommendations. And then next week on the 26th, the FDA's advisory committee is going to discuss a request to amend the EUA for Pfizer for administration of the COVID-19 vaccine to children 5 through 11 years of age. So COVID vaccine stuff. But that's that for COVID. This week does feel like we were ramping down a little bit, whereas we had that 2 weeks ago, the week of our last meeting, it just kind of skyrocketed up over 10 cases, more than we had normally had. But it seems that we're kind of seeing a little trend down, which the country and the state is seeing that as a whole. And I think even the county went down. Actually, yeah, the county went down a little bit this week as well. And that's that for my report.
The monies for the COVID. How much do we have left?
I'd have to look at it. It's not a terrible lot. I think it's probably around 2,000.
Is that what we're paying Ashley out of?
Yeah.
Okay. So will you be here the first Thursday in November?
So my last official day is the 3rd, which is a Wednesday.
The Wednesday. All right. So this is our last meeting we do.
Unless you guys want to do something next Thursday.
I'm thinking probably, because I want, we have to discuss Tom's thing, but it would be nice to have Ashley come in and meet Tom and see how we're gonna, Ashley gonna give reports to Tom and all that. What do you think, Jane?
I'm not available.
Next Thursday?
Yeah,
Oh,
for a meeting. Can Ashley maybe make it into the office at some time?
Oh yeah, she works her other job part-time, so I'm sure she'll be fine.
All right, what do you think, Mackenzie?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I'm also not available next Thursday, so
Okay.
maybe if she could meet Tom during office hours, that would be ideal.
All right, let's let's then talk about then your position and Tom's transition and talk about that and then and vote on it.
Okay.
So how many hours a week then, Tom, based on this letter, would you be willing to?
Well, I think we had bandied about the going 3 days a week, 24 hours.
24 hours, okay. And then the salary, that was number or hourly, or
Um,
how,
Doing some rough calculations for the information that the Hampden County Regional Board of Retirement sent, which I provided a copy to the board. It appears that, for example, if I was getting $30,000 in my retirement, the director's salary was 60,000. Just throwing these numbers out for comparison purposes, then I could not make more than $30,000 more in a 960-hour block of time in a calendar year. Okay, so that's the way that works. In other words, you can't make more in retirement and added to this than the director's salary made in a year.
all right,
It's not, so in other words, it's not hourly, it's over a year, over a calendar year. But either way, you can't work more than 960 hours.
So you would have to essentially come to a calculation of
Yeah.
how much you're collecting from Hampden
Right.
County Retirement.
Correct.
And then you have to base an hourly wage on that. So that's a number you're going to have to provide to us.
Yes.
Because what you get for retirement really shouldn't be public knowledge. The public knowledge should only be what your salary would be for your Board of Health fill-in position. So it's the number you're going to have to come up with.
Yeah, my sense is it would be something similar to when I was a consultant, when I retired the last time, and when Tammy was just in the process of coming in,
Okay.
which is around 50. You know.
but you have to give us a,
Right.
Right. Well, I got to check the retirement board, do some calculations. But that's roughly, around the,
but then supposedly you're not supposed to, if I'm maybe I'm misunderstanding this, supposedly you're not supposed to make more than Tammy. Is that what you're,
correct, when added to my retirement.
Well, essentially, even at 50, he wouldn't be making more than Tammy because Tammy's salary is based on 37.5 hours. He would only be working 24.
but when you look at hourly though,
It's not. So,
Well, it's not gonna be 960 hours.
right. Right. Say Tammy makes $10 an hour for 37.5 hours. And Tom is going to make $10 an hour, but it's only going to be for 24 hours. So Tammy would be making more because she works more hours. Tom would be making less because he works less hours.
okay, well, how I figure it now, Tom would be making about the same. Based on that. Maybe a little more. So once you're thinking about 50 then, thinking about that. So once we get that, then do we present to the Selectmen Finance Committee?
Well, I'm assuming we would have to make a proposal And the select board would have to accept it, Doug, is that right?
What do we have to do?
If we make a proposal on how much we're going to pay Tom, do the select board have to approve that as it's coming out of a
It'll come out of
town budget,
It'll come out of Tammy's,
Tammy's budget?
yeah, it'll come out of the.
I would check with Carl tomorrow to be sure, because there's intricacies around the hiring of the health agent, right? It's actually a Board of Health hire, not under the regular personnel board. I understand the budget side of it, so that's why probably a phone call to Carl is in order.
Right, we can hire Tom. That's within the Board of Health's purview.
Exactly.
But how much can we pay him? Is this the question?
I don't know.
We'll check with Carl.
I'll be honest, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay,
Well, as I said earlier, that's what you were paying me before, 2 years ago.
right.
So
right.
that's not really breaking new ground. And I'm willing to pay for
Good point.
Need to go with the same amount.
And Carl said we would just take it out of,
out of Tammy's budget anyway, so the money's already there.
yeah,
And by definition, it can't exceed that.
right.
It can't exceed Tammy's budget. It
Right,
can't exceed that.
Okay, so, would you have this, set days or what would be good for you?
I would think that makes sense, don't you?
oh,
I
yeah,
mean, for everybody concerned, everybody knows I'm gonna be here,
Right.
and things like that. Yeah.
And you'd be available Thursday nights like we used to do.
Yes,
Yeah. We have to get Tom keys. To get keys, is Tammy just give you the keys or you have to go through?
I have to give them
Carl.
to Robin and then
yeah, and then
sign the thing.
she'll
and then-
reissue. I'm thinking that the board would actually have to officially vote,
Yeah, we're gonna vote.
so,
Yeah, I'm just working all this stuff out first.
right.
Right.
And
See if
then the
it's
Zoom
agreeable.
account, Doug is going to have to transfer Tammy's Zoom account to Tom. And, I'll spend a few minutes with you, showing you how to do Zoom. It's not very difficult. And, because this is Tammy's last meeting, the Zoom account could be transferred over, as soon as possible. So you could start setting up the Zoom meetings. And they are going to remain hybrid, I believe.
Yes, as long as we can,
Mackenzie, you agreeing with that, hybrid?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay.
as long as we
So
can work that.
that would be in person and, on the Zoom. So we'll kind of, Tammy can do a lot of the business side, and then Jess or I or somebody else can help you with the,
Does Jess want to learn how to do this? Because it's really not that,
Either way.
like, because I've always put you on as the secondary admin to the Zoom meetings. just
the
in case.
co-host.
The co-host.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
and we can learn together.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It's a date.
It's very
Yeah.
intuitive, like.
Yeah.
They don't put too many buttons on Zoom.
Good.
Yeah,
The less buttons, the better.
And now we know where to find the owl on the microphone video. thing, so.
well, where did you find that? Where was it?
Oh, under video, right here, there's a little arrow.
Oh,
Yeah,
I just unclicked the video.
but the last time we did it,
It
it,
didn't? Oh,
yeah, weird.
It might have depended when you plugged it in. If you had already started the
Okay.
Zoom and then powered up the owl, it didn't pick it automatic.
oh, okay.
Didn't mean to interrupt, but also Jessica is not a licensed user for Zoom at this time.
Right, but she could
So-
be co-host. So would you prefer to have Jessica set up the Zooms and Tom co-host? Or?
That's up to the chair,
you
totally
have-
up to the chair. I was just gonna ask a quick question for Tammy, if she has any other non-board meetings that she has scheduled on Zoom that she's the host of because once you pull the license, it becomes a problem. So we just gotta coordinate that and we'll do it. We can do it outside of here. It's not a problem.
I might have one next week.
Yeah, no problem. We'll get it figured out for you.
So how do you want to do this? Do you want Tammy, Jess to be the main one, Tom to
Doesn't
be the
matter to
code?
me.
Doesn't matter.
I'm gonna leave it up to you two.
Yeah.
You
two
were
can
coming
work
to all
it
the
out.
meetings, right? You've been coming to all the meetings?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, at least to start off, if it doesn't work out.
Yeah,
You can switch it if it doesn't work out, if something happens.
And who takes care of that for us?
Doug
Doug will.
will. Doug takes care of the licenses.
Do we put it in writing, Doug?
Just send me an email.
Okay. You want to send me? It'll be Tammy and Tom be Coles.
Tammy?
Well, yeah.
The
Oh,
other
Or just
sorry,
give me
I
a
didn't-
call and I'll take
Maybe
care of it.
Tammy.
It's not that hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
And every time you hear that bell, that means we gotta let somebody in.
yeah.
And how do you let somebody in?
Remember I showed you so
But you can't now because they're.
but you can see that, see the,
Hi, Andrea.
and it'll go, the name will go above participants. And then you just click on that little blue thing, it'll say admit.
Admit, yeah.
All right, so you're gonna show
Yeah,
them at the
It's
show.
not,
Jessica and Tom that.
yeah, it's not.
All right,
And I would be here for the next meeting to, once you guys started up, I could do this portion of it and show you live.
so our next meeting would be your first day. Are you gonna be doing that, would you be for Monday, with Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays?
Hmm,
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
That works out for you.
Monday,
Usually
Tuesday.
Monday's a busy day. Right? Thursday's a meeting day, so.
Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. So our first meeting would be Thursday, so
So would the meeting be part of your 7.5 hours in addition to?
I really hadn't given that a thought yet, but can I think about it? I really haven't really given that much thought to that. We can work out one way, and of
Right.
course, if I'm not doing anything on Wednesday or Friday, and some emergency comes up and I'm not out of town or something, that it goes without saying that I would be available. Something
Right.
comes up in a restaurant or a fire in a restaurant or something like that.
Right, an
Housing
emergency.
issue, as I've always been, weekends, anything, I can serve myself once I'm working 24/7. For good cause, for good reason. Emergency.
do I make a motion? Or can I make a motion? Mr.
You
Chairman?
can, chairs can make
So
motions.
I make a motion that we appoint Tom Fitzgerald as our interim health director until that time in which we find a permanent full-time health director. Do I get a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor? Do roll call? Yes? Pursue?
Jean says yes.
Mackenzie Kane, yes.
Yes, okay, so unanimous. So the keys will be taken care of, and
What days do you want Tammy and Tom to start working together? And
what days are good?
yeah, what's,
Just
2 weeks.
you want to work out your schedule, you basically have 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, we can. What do you figure? 2 days?
If that. I
Yes,
mean,
exactly.
honestly,
Really?
I have,
I orientated her 2 days
yeah,
Okay.
when I was here
okay.
for all that time.
there, outside of not outstanding, open Title Vs, like, I don't have anything lingering. No lingering open complaints or
Excellent.
any of that.
We're gonna have to get to Jim Middleton to set up an email with Tom.
Jim's out tomorrow, but I'll be back on Monday.
And is it you or Ashley that updates on Friday, the COVID?
I
numbers?
do it, but I can ask Ashley to start doing it. It was something that Kate was doing, and then when Kate left, I took over doing it, and I never stopped doing it. Usually I'll do it like on Thursday nights right before. the
So it's,
Tuesday.
okay. Is
Yeah.
Ashley doing Maven?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes, thankfully, but there's been nothing but COVID this last 2 weeks. But good or bad, I don't know.
So Tammy, how's November 2nd or 3rd? Look at that week.
Fine,
Okay.
fine.
Then you and I can
Yeah.
work it out.
What third is your last day? Fourth, third's your last
You're
day.
leaving, yeah, you're leaving.
Mhm, So
fourth,
maybe the
but-
second.
And do you need to update Tom on the grant? Where does
Yeah,
that
that would be-
stand?
Well, I mean, as it is, you guys voted to keep me on to do the grant work.
No, I didn't.
You
Did you
did
vote?
in the last week meeting.
I don't know, was it in the minutes?
I
That was kind of
don't-
up in the air.
Remember that?
What did you say?
Up to a year.
Hmm. No, I don't, I know you put the offer in, but I did not, I know I didn't vote for that. I don't know, Sue, what you did, but
I thought it was kind of like up in the air.
Oh, was it? I thought you, maybe you decided.
well, I said about it was to contact Carl to see if, you know, he could do something about the grant.
Yeah, and he thought it was a good idea until
Right.
there was somebody permanently in here and comfortable to
Right,
keep me on with it.
but the good thing is Tom is part of the Granville Board of Health. He knows all about the grant because Granville is part of the grant. So, and Tom's taken care of grants before. So I think, you know, it should stay within the town. And, you know, all due respect to you, Tammy, you've got a whole new agenda with a lot going to be on your plate in the new area. And it was my opinion that you know, Tom would be more than capable of handling that grant.
I don't remember that from our last meeting.
Well, thank God we have recordings. We'll have to go back and,
See what we
With the
said.
cycle of, so it's not just accepting a grant, it's quarterly reports, it's a strategic plan, and everything else that goes along with it.
Right.
I don't know if that's something that, you know, if Tom's gonna be around for a month or two, if that's something he wants, I can continue to do that until there's somebody in here who's permanent and comfortable with it. I have no problem doing it.
So can we go back on our minutes, our recording
Yeah.
from last meeting and
yeah,
see what we
because
said?
I honestly don't remember that vote. Mackenzie, do you remember anything about that vote?
I remember the discussion absolutely, and we kind of did generalize, say like, yeah, it would be a good idea if you could follow this through. I don't exactly remember whether it was an official vote or not, but I do remember the conversation.
Yeah, see, I don't remember agreeing that it was a good idea.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Was there money, is there money for that, for the,
There
person
is,
doing
that's
the
what we
oversight.
discussed, because there's a built-in program administrator
yeah.
portion of it.
There's $10,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that my opinion, whether I voiced it or not, was because you are taking on a new role and how much time would you have to dedicate to it and I remember you said you would bill the town and I wasn't comfortable with not having basic control over you sitting at home in your pajamas and doing this and saying, I worked on it for 5 hours when, you know, I don't know. So,
That's sort of how program administration goes for that sort of thing, as it is. I would probably sit at home for 2 hours a week
right,
and work on it, and that's it. Like,
Right.
it's not gonna be something that, it's not a lot of extreme hours, but just working on that strategic plan, give it a couple hours a week. That's,
right.
you know,
And
What exactly would you be doing? Do we have the money yet?
no, we don't have the contract yet, so
Right.
that's what the holdup is. I wanted to get a lot of this stuff done this month, but that's not gonna happen because we don't have, like, they sent us another email on Friday saying it's coming, but it's a Thursday now.
And what about reviewing the applications for the nurse and doing interviews with the nurse? That's all time consuming that we have to do here at the Board of Health. So that's why I thought, you know, Tom being very knowledgeable about it because of his position, he would be able to handle it at least until the permanent person came in, and then just walked whoever the new director is onto it.
You know what, wait a minute, stop for a second. You know, we appointed Tom to be our interim health inspector. We didn't pick a date that he's gonna start.
Well, I'm assuming it would be after Tammy.
Well, no, because he's gonna come in November 2nd, right?
Yeah, yes, I was gonna come in November 2nd and be with Tammy. And the
Right.
First meeting would be the 4th.
Right.
You're gonna meet again the 4th.
So can we add that? Do I have to make another motion saying he'll start November 2nd?
Well, I don't think so.
All right. Tom, how do you feel about that?
Actually, I'm not that familiar with it, that particular grant. I've never seen the paperwork for that myself. I know Tammy had mentioned it to me at another meeting, and I don't know what it entails other than what she's telling me. So unless I could be brought up to speed in that first week by that, I wouldn't have any problem. Especially it's not any money coming out of the town. If Tammy's able and capable of doing that for a few hours a week, to at least to begin with, I don't have any problem with that. And if she wants to do it, I think go for it. Especially you wrote the grant, right? You wrote it. So I don't know.
How about when it comes time to finding nurses and interviewing the nurses? How are we gonna handle that?
So there has been, some of the members of the communities want to be part of it. Some of them don't, some of them do. So I would just assume, you know, an open hybrid meeting similar to do the interviews when that comes down to it.
Are you gonna have the time to do that though?
Well, I will fit it in.
And then once the $10,000 is gone and it's not finished, what happens then?
I don't even imagine it going anywhere near $1,000 for that. It is, once you guys hire someone that's full-time, hopefully in the next couple months, they can transition into it.
And how much would your hourly rate be for that?
What it is now?
Similar, I guess. I haven't even.
Well, that'll be, I think, voted on. I think we should vote on that,
Vote on who's gonna administer it?
right? Well, we don't even have the grant yet, so I
know,
don't think
so it's like, how can we-
until we actually get the grant, I think that vote has to remain tabled.
All right, and we have to see what Tom's,
Right,
how comfortable he is with it.
right.
What do you think, Mackenzie?
I mean, honestly, if Tammy is willing to do it, I mean, this has kind of been her project. She knows all the details. I don't want to necessarily throw something on Tom that he isn't up to date with, but that's up to his discretion. I mean, the money, somebody's going to get paid the money regardless. So I don't think that the whole sitting in the pajama thing is an issue. Because either way, somebody's going to be at home doing it, right? I just don't want this grant to fall through and nobody end up with any community resources, because that would not be beneficial to anybody.
No, that's true. But I also don't want to stress Tammy out either. You know, do you know what it's like walking into a new position? Especially one in it's a little volatile area you're going into. They have some issues there with their Board of Health.
It's like walking into COVID.
Yes,
No,
and I don't want to push, I don't want to push you. I don't want to put more on your plate than,
And
Well, we can work together. though.
I'm offering this, I'm
Yeah.
not,
yeah,
you're not pushing anything on me, like, this is, you know, what I've been working on for, it's not gonna be hard work, it's just gonna be work that's gonna need to be done
all right,
to keep
so,
it up, because there's dates on the different things that have to be turned in and everything like that. It's not gonna be a lot of hours of time, but it's gonna be stuff that has rolls into the things that I've done so far to the program.
And if you have a problem, you know, if it gets to the point it gets overwhelming or, you know, it's burdensome, then, you know, we can communicate and I can assist you. And, Ashley, you know, can assist. It's not like you're in an island by yourself having to do this.
and you're gonna have to know eventually what's going on for the
Absolutely,
next person.
yes.
So, do you want to take a vote on it now? So that'll be, or do you want,
I think my opinion would be wait until we at least get the grant. We don't have it. So we would be voting on a supposition. I think we need to vote on the facts. So until we can actually see a copy of the grant.
so we can't do
There's
anything right
nothing
now
to
till you
vote
get the
on.
money?
Oh, Mackenzie
The
or even
contract,
Sue,
yeah, the
if
contract
you
will come
know,
first.
however you guys feel comfortable with it. It's up to you too.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea for us to secure the grant before we make any definitive decisions. As long as we have a mutual agreement with Tammy that she is willing to follow up, because I just am worried that her last day is coming up quick and we don't have the grant secured. So, you know, Tammy, is that something that would be an issue, that if your last day is, you know, coming up and we still don't have the grant secured?
I don't think it would be an issue. The grant is secure. There is already been we've received an award letter.
Okay,
So what we're waiting on is the actual contract to come through, and then, you know, the money that comes with the contract. as well.
okay, all right, right. So we're waiting
but-
for the
Yeah,
contract.
we've been officially awarded, we just need to sign the contract and receive the award.
All right, so if that comes through after you leave, who's signing it? It's gonna be,
So
it's gonna be addressed to you?
the Board of Health, and then the money that gets received ends up being signed by the select board.
Select board.
So the Board of Health would sign the contract.
So,
Because it's awarded to the Southwick Board of Health.
so would it be the health director that would sign it? Would it be Tom? Would it be you? Would it be me?
It would probably be best if it was you.
But Tammy and or whoever's, you know, following up on this later on would be in contact with, I don't know, who's doing this, who's it coming out of, Department of Public Health or 1B.
Yes.
I mean, there's resources there that you could ask those. Those are very good questions. But some of those are just an email or a text away, you know, who needs to sign this? And sometimes they'll give you a sheet on the grant application, tells you the steps that need to do to get this processed and what account, how to set up the account, things like that. They give you a lot of information when they're doing this, and we do this all the time. So,
It's been very, very helpful. They
Yeah.
have a meeting like almost every other week just to tell you, and they keep little, they'll send you emails like so many days
Yeah.
until your draft. comes
Exactly.
in,
Yeah.
so many days till this is due, which they just sent us, oh yeah, your quarterly report's due on October 31st. I had to send them an email. We don't even have money yet, so I can't really tell you what we've done with the money because that's it. So they said, no, you don't, it isn't due on October 31st for you.
All right, well, my thought is to let Tammy and Tom work it out.
Right, but like Tammy just said, she gets an email. Your town account is going to be closed.
But if the town allows it, I can keep that one open until,
Keep your email open?
yeah, they would just take me off the website, so nobody's sending emails to me, but
See, I don't know if we can do that.
Who's
I feel like they kept Dennis's open for a long time after he retired, like. I can find out.
We can.
I have another email.
Who'd you find that out from?
I think Carl's
Carl.
probably the best person to
Okay,
find
find
out
out.
from.
Yeah, because I mean, you know what to do. Okay, so you're gonna do that, and you're gonna just work it out and
Mhm.
see what happens.
I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem with Tammy doing that either,
Okay.
myself. Yes.
I just don't like what McKinsey said, don't let it slip through the cracks.
That's the point, yes, I agree.
I don't either.
That's-
All right, any questions, Tom, about the transition?
No, I'm just worried about my commute.
Are you?
It's mile and a half or
Yeah.
two,
You up?
is it? Mhm. Well, you don't have to commute because you can join Zoom.
As you go. For perk test too.
Yeah, on Zoom, yeah, just do it.
Sure somebody's doing it.
You're just watching.
So you were reimbursed mileage before?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about? So you want to include that?
Tammy, you're getting it, you get reimbursed?
Say, like the quarterly stipend.
Yeah.
Quarterly, right? Yeah, quarterly.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll have to add a stipend, travel stipend. Okay,
Did you already do it, already have that line item?
yes,
To do.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that takes care of that. Keys, email account. You know more about it than I do anyways, because you've been here for so long. Continue.
can't think of anything else.
Old business. What do we have for any old business? We've been concentrating, so worried about this that I haven't even thought about any old business. You have anything,
No.
Janet? Other than all the lake management committee, we
Right.
did write a letter or something.
Yeah, I was waiting for one of the members to get back from vacation and talk about it. But that's on my list to make sure we have just a draft letter up so that we saying that we agree that, or we support what they're doing, what they want to do.
To the porta potty thing. That's north.
Yeah, but, yeah, we can't do anything about the porta potty because the state doesn't allow it.
Yeah,
So,
I remember when they were talking about that, I always thought that's pretty strange. They want to have access, but they don't want to have sanitation. And they still won't allow that on the property.
Do they allow trash containers?
I
don't think
think
so.
they have,
I thought they said no, right? Or is it yes?
I thought they had one there, do they?
McKinsey, when you go to the North Pond area, do they have trash containers?
No,
No.
not at all.
Jeez, so nothing.
But I think they felt that if there was other group support for it, which is why they were talking about getting the Board of Health support towards it, that might help when they bring it up for review again, I guess.
Bring that to who?
I said
State.
DEP, yeah, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I think that's who it
Absolutely.
was.
I would be
Right.
strongly in
Yeah,
favor of
Dick
having that.
Reynolds and
Because you know what's going to happen if we don't, especially if it gets more use.
It
Well,
definitely, this
not good
summer,
now.
I feel like we didn't get as many complaints as last, so I don't think I got really any complaints about that spot. Other than
Right.
the trash that was on the land over the summer. It was the year before that people were partying and parking there because there was nowhere else for people to go. So they just parked their boats and.
Did they do that years and years before it even became
Mhm.
town
Oh,
owned?
yeah,
Remember, that's where the swing was.
yes.
So, you know, it's been like that for years. Mackenzie, how many years have you been there?
Well, I mean, I've been on the lake since I was a kid, so yeah, as long as I can remember, people have docked up there, or they beach their boats there.
But do you remember as much trash and debris as recently, or was that just?
No, I think since we bought the land and made it more accessible to everybody, right?
Then
That's
it's-
what I've noticed, a lot more foot traffic. Every weekend, that little dirt pull-off is packed.
Oh,
So people who don't have boats and meet their friends pull into the little pull-off where the sign is, walk past the gate that's locked, and I'm sure on their way in or on their way out, that's when they're throwing their trash.
And sanitary issues?
And go into the bathroom.
Oh, I don't know about that. I've never, never seen that, but yeah, there's a
Well, I
lot.
mean, you know, like toilet paper and things like that. I mean, it's just issues that people are using it for because they have no place to
Right.
go.
yeah.
That's the reason why we're discussing this. I think this is definitely a public health issue, unless, and I would definitely
Mm.
push that with DEP or MDAR. There's joint US US state Fish and Wildlife too. There's
Yeah.
a number of people that put money into that pot.
Right. But then you got the issue of porta potty, put one there, who's gonna pay for it, who's gonna clean it, how often's it gonna get cleaned, you know, so
The lake
you
management-
solve one problem
Where's
and
the
open
money
Yeah,
up
well,
coming
that's-
from?
another.
Where's
yeah.
the
The
money
lake
coming from?
management committee said that they have the funds for that.
Well, they
But
do.
that's not the issue. They want it there.
Yeah.
They had done like a study, seeing, was it feasible to put a pad out there and whatnot to secure them, and they had the means to do that, so.
No. Okay, any other whole businesses, is there somebody else that joined the meeting?
Andrea did,
Andrea?
and Joe did. New business, what did you discuss with the school?
With the school, they had that was like the day after our last meeting. They had just started doing the test and stay. So if you're considered a close contact, it's for 5 days. You can test at school and stay at school as long as you're testing negative
For 5 days?
for 5 days. They just started doing that. They were talking about doing some of the pool testing, but they're just, the test and stay is really what they'd rather do. And just kind of trying to get the word out to the parents to make sure they opt into it. So you have to have a 24-hour notice, I guess, in the system to do it. Same thing for employees as well, not just the students.
And how many people have they been doing on the average?
I don't know. But I get the emails probably once or twice a week noting that there's somebody in the system, contacts have been identified and whatnot. And you can see those numbers up on the school's website as well.
So they send you the emails personal.
They send everybody. It goes to the whole school system.
All right, so Tom's gonna have to get back on. Right? People are gonna have to know that he's in the position now. So he gets all that information.
Maybe you can put a little caveat on your email. Please contact, and then give Tom's email address. For whoever's emailing you, saying, resign from the position, please email. Can you add that?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
So is November 2nd good for you? November 2nd for me to
yeah.
come in? Okay. Select board have any questions?
No, it's Doug Moulton, not the select.
Oh, that's what I thought.
So,
No. Oh,
Doug was here.
Joe,
yeah,
Joe's
so
here.
questions. Andrew, you have any questions? No? Joe or Doug? Questions or comments?
No, no questions or comments.
No, thank you.
No? Peter?
Yeah, just one question for Tammy. What town are you going to?
East Long Meadow?
Okay, as health director?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, well, it looks like I will make,
Well, I want to wish Tammy,
oh,
The best.
Okay.
Well, even though we will be talking to you the next 2
Yeah.
weeks, but officially.
See, once you come in, you really
Yeah.
never leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
That's right, pretty much. Okay, no, so where is our postings posted?
Westfield News, MHOA, and the newsletter for, Mass Public Health, I guess it's gonna go out. Phoebe Walker is gonna do that.
Yeah, Western Mass, yeah, good.
And then I was gonna send it just to the group of
Yeah.
agents. Although all the towns are losing people.
So that's already been done? You've already sent that out?
So how long has it been posted now? Some places? A week?
Yeah, like MHOA has been about a week. It took a while to get the Westfield News one. That kind of just went in on Monday, or Tuesday, I think.
And you have Jess's email to send resumes to?
It's in it, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's in that.
And
That's in
That's
it.
it from last time.
So you haven't seen anything yet? No. You usually check your email at least every day, right?
So now I do.
Good girl.
Always check your email.
Okay,
Good. Did we get a final? Did we get the final wording of it? Did you submit that? Did you send that out to us?
Yes,
The final
Yeah.
one? Okay. So I must have it.
it's slightly shorter for the newspaper, because I was told that what that was gonna be very expensive.
Okay.
So just, it was kind of, some of the stuff was just pulled out and the main part was put in.
So now how long is it posted for?
I don't know. I have to ask Robin down in the select board office. How long we do that, or maybe they do it until we ask them
yeah.
to start running it. That wasn't,
I don't think they run it every day, do they?
I don't think so.
Peter, you should know that.
I'm unfortunately not well versed in how the newsletters work, so I'm gonna have to point you in the direction of either Mike Ballway or Roxanne Miller.
Oh, Roxanne and I are best buddies.
Well, I know for a fact I need to
Roxanne,
cut
yeah.
it out of
I
the
know.
newspaper this time.
She's,
You do?
she does
Accounting.
my legal ads for
Didn't
conservation.
tell me that I needed it when we did Kate's
I know
job.
Roxanne.
So they had
Must
to
be
give me I had to get a
Sure, good
confirmation from the newspaper that yes, it ran down. So, see it before me.
Okay.
Cut it out.
Usually, Carl sends me all the conservation notices.
Oh,
He,
okay.
he goes through the paper all the time, so.
All right. Okay, so
Okay.
we want to thank you.
Jeannie,
Yeah,
sorry, I just, one thing based on our conversation, I did send a letter to the attorney for an official ruling on the open meeting law for hybrid
yep. Which
It-
part?
about the weather. So
Okay.
if the weather were to turn and town hall were to close and a meeting was posted as hybrid, the suggestion so far is, and we'll have it in writing shortly, certainly before the snow flies, that we probably can adjust the posting boilerplate, that in the event of weather, the meeting shall be held exclusively on Zoom instead of hybrid, so that we would cover ourselves with the posting. But I wanted to
Okay.
thank you for, it was a thought-provoking question that I don't know that had been asked, that I hadn't seen anywhere in MMA or anywhere else that anyone posed that question. So we went right to town council now and we'll get a ruling and some direction from them. Because it's great with Zoom, you don't have to cancel a meeting because of snow. We did it for a year, everybody was remote, right? So
Right,
it's kind of a good idea. So we'll get that taken care of.
yeah, well, we posted them all as Zoom,
Yeah.
not as hybrid, so that's the, the difference.
Right, but
That's
if
what
you
I
have
was afraid
hybrid,
of.
you should be able to pivot, and just as long as people are aware that in the event of inclement weather, go to Zoom, don't go to town hall because town hall is closed, right? So
So you
I
could
think it's a
put
good idea and it's a way to continue, utilize the technology better and still provide, still be able to safely have your meeting.
So you could put a caveat on the agenda,
That's what we're
in
hoping.
the
We're
event of inclement weather.
correct. And because
Okay.
you got to post it, what,
Or
72
48.
hours. And weather in New England, we're not good for 72 minutes to know what's going to happen. So we're hopefully by, for the winter months, we could just have a caveat in the posting that says, in the event that town hall is closed, the meeting will be exclusively on Zoom or something to that effect. But when we hear back from the lawyer, it'll be communicated to all the boards and commissions so that they can adjust their postings accordingly for future meetings.
Well, I'm glad I could help you.
Super helpful. Thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Okay.
are we all set?
So,
Thank you.
make a motion to adjourn the meeting at little
8:04.
8:04.
I'll second that motion.
Mackenzie?
Mackenzie is in favor, yes.
Yes, Sue.
Jane says yes.